to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Well, welcome to New Life Live. Larry Sonnenburg here, sitting in for Steve today. And I'm blessed here to have Mylan Yurkovich with me.
Hey, how are you, Larry? Great to see you.
Thanks.
Good to be with you.
And we have a special friend with us today. She is a member of the New Life family as one of our network therapists. She's done workshops with us. She's listened to radio for a long time.
Yes.
And her name is Dr. Shonda Smith.
Yes.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And we're going to go to the calls in a minute, but I just wanted to just say that Dr. Shonda has been a therapist for many years.
Yes.
She has written a book.
Yes.
She has a love for helping young couples before they get married to try to have a better chance of getting marriages.
Mm-hmm. That's my heartbeat.
And her dissertation had to do with expectancy going into a marriage.
Right.
And so we're just really thrilled that you're going to be here, and we're looking forward to having some good calls.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to get a little bit of the business out of the way before we go to the first call. Please call us. We're going to be on 2 hours today. Just call us at 800-229-3000. And I wanted to talk about, real quickly, two things. One is we have a ministry trip coming up in 2020. We already had our trip earlier this year for this year. Next year, we're going to be doing a captivating Rhine River cruise on AMA waterways. And before I talk about that briefly, I want to make sure everybody knows that we do not use operational money for any of the expenses of this trip. We don't use your donations. The money comes from the money that comes in from the people who are going on the cruise. We there's enough leeway in what that cost is to allow for all the expenses to be covered. So I just want to make that clear. But we're going to go from Monday, September 28th for a week. Mylan is going to be on the trip with us. He and Steve are going to be the speakers. You've been on some trips before, Mylan. What encouragement would you give folks about coming on this trip?
Well, first of all, the Rhine River from Amsterdam to Basel, Switzerland is beautiful. You get to see Europe from a vantage point. Now, I've never done this particularly myself, but I've seen pictures and looked at the pre-event publicity information, and it's just gorgeous what you get to see. Then they have excursions at each of the stops, and you can do tours and experience things. But gosh, for us all to be together for 7 days is just an amazing event.
And part of the together that I like is we have chartered the entire ship.
Wow.
So everybody who comes will have, or in some way or some sense, have a connection with New Life.
Yes.
And there are 78 cabins, so it'll be in the neighborhood of 156 people. Some of the classes of cabins have already sold out, so I want to encourage folks, even though it's about a year away, please sign up now. Because it will make a difference. If you're going to be kind of sad if you try to sign up in 6 months and there's nothing left.
It's a very limited attendance opportunity, but listen, it is a very, very good time for us all to get to know one another.
So go to newlife.com. On our homepage, there's a banner, and you can find that. The other thing that I wanted to just mention, if you would make a gift to New Life today, our gift to say thank you is Take Your Life Back Day by Day. It's a 365-day devotional that Steve and Dave Stoop put together, and it makes a difference when you start your day or end your day thinking about things of God and things that will help you in your just living life, whether you're in recovery or you just want to do better at what you do. So help us with a gift. We'll be right back and take some calls right after this.
God pulled me out of the gutter of my life that I was living in.
I have done a lot of work over the last 40 years, This is the first time I've ever felt love.
I've had such a wonderful weekend here, and for the first time in a long time, I've felt at home.
And the Lord has set me free from my mother's story about me not being good enough.
The New Life Finding Freedom Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, September 20th to the 22nd.
We're going to talk about forgiveness and codependency. We're going to understand that family of origin, the unhealthy reactions to it. We're going to talk about the cycle of shame and surrender and developing the plan that moves us forward. There'll be 8 teaching sessions and 6 small group sessions.
To register or to learn more about the Finding Freedom Workshop, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I am living a new life, and I believe that I have the resources and tools to continue that.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. Let's see. We're going to go and talk with Ann in Jackson, Tennessee. Ann, thanks for calling New Life. She listens on WDNX.
Hi.
How can we help you today?
Yeah. Well, I had a question actually about my brother. He had a brain injury back in 2012, and during his recovery, he came to live with us. And during the course of his evaluations, he had a neuropsych evaluation, and it came back with a diagnosis of autism, which actually kind of made sense, but he had never been diagnosed before. He's back living on his own now. He got laid off from his job. He is able to work. Not at the same stuff he used to do, but he's able to work. He is having trouble getting a job, and in talking to him about some of his interviews, I can tell he's just not, it seems like he's gotten worse. It's been several years since he's been on his own, and I don't know if he's getting worse because of the injury or the autism, or I don't know how it works, but we never told him. The diagnosis came after he had moved back and was on his own. And we've never told him about the autism. I don't know if I should tell him, how to tell him. I don't know what you do with that.
Well, Ann, you said that he gotten worse. Can you provide a little bit more clarity on that?
Yeah, so right after the injury, I noticed that he had this habit, and he had it before, but it was much more pronounced. He would, like in a social situation, he would corner people, and you almost just couldn't get away. You know, I'd kind of have to go over there and sort of ease them out if they were trapped there.
Right.
It's very much a monologue when you talk to him. When he's talked to me about going to these interviews, he'll go the day before and see where it is and make sure he knows how to get there. He takes public transportation. But he's very direct and very articulate when he talks, but almost in an overly assertive way, or a threatening maybe a little bit way.
Right.
Just too much. I don't know.
I'm just curious, what's the fear of telling him? What happens if you tell him? Mm-hmm. Why are you reluctant?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure exactly why I didn't tell him in the very beginning. I don't know. So I'm. It's okay to tell him. I'm hearing you say, right?
Right. Yeah.
And how do I just come out and say I was going to take the doctor's report with me and just let him kind of read through it?
You know, Ann, if you had a problem and everybody else knew about it, and yet you were weighted down by the pain of that problem, and you had abnormal levels of pressure, social, behavioral, etc., wouldn't you want to have somebody tell you so that you could get more help or get a better handle on that? Wouldn't you want that, Ann?
I would.
Yeah.
I recognize that. Yes,
I
would.
You know, it's interesting because my father-in-law, who's since deceased, way back in the 60s, had cancer surgery, and they didn't tell him, or he had surgery, but they didn't tell him that the diagnosis after the surgery was he had cancer. And so he lived for years not knowing that he had a diagnosis of that. And I think, we live in a day and age where it's important for people to know the truth because they have to know what it is they're dealing with.
Right.
Autism struggles with social appropriateness, and it struggles people on the scale or on the spectrum. Or even what we would call Asperger's, where there's a social awkwardness, where we will over-dominate, where we lack an ability to read our audience. All of that is such that your brother deserves to know that, and just to sit down with him and say, look, there's something we found out after your head injury, and we want to talk to you about that. And it's important for him to know what he's up against. There's support groups for that. There's ways that he can get greater levels of really encouraging help. And there's all kinds of programs that are offered by various county agencies, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, absolutely.
Shonda, would you add anything to that?
No, I agree. I was thinking the exact same thing, that once you have that conversation with him about what it is that he's struggling with, there's tons of resources out there, agencies like Milan said, that can help with providing classes, if it be, or just teachable things, in terms of especially the social awkwardness that Milan talked about. He could probably have a coach that provides services to help him with that. So I definitely agree with that, as you guys share with him what's going on with him, but also get him connected to resources so that he can have a very productive life.
Okay. Any book come to mind, Mylan, that you might be able to send to Anne? I'm trying to.
Well, I think I like Steve's book, Take Your Life Back, because it talks about really understanding yourself, understanding your history, your attachment,
there you go,
your training, et cetera, et cetera. But this brings up another issue, Larry, and that is, what do families do with secrets? And the secrets that families keep, and they don't tell to succeeding in generations. And there's a real danger, and we get this question all the time: should we tell people this? Should we tell our children this, et cetera, et cetera? And if we don't, one of the worst things to have happen is for a person to show up in my office when they're 50 years old and for them to say to me, I just found out that my dad isn't my dad.
Yeah.
Right.
Or that my brothers and sisters are half siblings.
Right.
And I'm shocked, I'm terrified, I'm angry. And a person shouldn't have to live under the delusion of non-truth their entire life. They need truth to be able to live a reconciled life.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
And thank you for your call. Well, we hope that your conversation goes well and your brother gets the help that he needs, and life will be different for both of you. We're going to go to talk to Karen. Karen's on line 4. Hot Springs, Arkansas, listens on KCMH. And how can we help you, Karen?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Wonderful.
What's going on?
Oh, Lord, here we go. Okay, if I get emotional,
it's okay.
Just try to don't even acknowledge it. It's very emotional. I'm originally from Louisiana. I've lived here 18 months, and I got guardianship of my grandkids. One is 1, one is 6. And my daughter abused to the point that the youngest is disabled now, and she can't talk. She's 2. She had 5 skull fractures, and she was starved. The oldest one's been sexually abused, mentally and physically. So I had to fight to get them out of the foster system, first of all. And this is all in Louisiana, so they're Louisiana children. And they've been here for 18 months. It's like I have a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old, and then I have a 9-year-old daughter. And this knot in my stomach never goes away. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to help you. Social workers lie, mislead you. The courts so corrupt. Everything's been expunged. She gave this baby 5 skull fractures and starved her intentionally over a 6-month period. And it's been expunged like it never happened. Now I have to go back to the district court, and she wants custody of the children. But in the paperwork, it says she's mentally not capable of taking care of them. scared.
Mm-hmm. Karen, that's a very difficult place to be. I'm so sorry. That's a very painful place. I know, Karen. It's very painful to believe and see that your daughter could do something like that. It's so sad.
A long time. It took me a long time to, I guess, figure that out, that it happened, and she was able to do that.
Mm.
Of course, she denies it, but the doctors tell me different.
Sure.
Right.
And it's not alcohol, it's not drugs, it's mental.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm dealing with all the pain by myself because my dad died a year ago. In just a couple of months, I heard you talking to somebody else. I found out that my brother's not my brother.
Mm.
So I'm really upset with my mother. So my dad's gone. My family, I just have no family now. Nobody talks to me. It's stressful.
It sounds
but
like
the system, the child support system, the Department of Family Insurance Services, ICPC, all these people don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you nearly kill a baby and not have any?
So, Karen, what do you have a question?
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, Karen. And a lot of this world does not make sense. It's a broken world, and a lot of things don't work right.
Yep.
Now, Karen, do you have a question for us?
I do have a question. If it was your grandchildren, what would you do?
Are you doing this alone? Do you have a husband that is helping you, or are you all alone in this battle?
He works out of state, so he should go. Maybe I see him twice a month.
I didn't understand that. Would you repeat
Say
that?
that again.
And he fully supports, these are not his biological grandchildren, but they call him daddy and they call me mommy.
Okay, so your husband is in this with you.
Okay, so again, your question, Karen,
I
is...
just need to know how I deal with this, or is there something I can do, or what do I need to do? Because it's obvious that the system doesn't work, period.
So you mentioned that there's a social worker that's involved, Karen?
Well, here in Arkansas, here we go again, social system. They're supposed to come out here every month, check on the kids. Been here 18 months. They've been here one time.
Okay.
Every question I ask them, they never know. They don't know.
Okay.
I have to call you back.
Okay.
Nobody answers the phone.
Okay. So not really getting the support.
I got served the other day that Wilson's going to have to go to district court in October.
Okay.
Well, you might
She wants custody of these kids.
I would think you might want to get legal counsel.
How is it possible?
And what were the ages again? These are your grandchildren?
They're 1 and 6.
1 and 6, okay.
And
Well, the baby just turned 2, so she's 2, and she's on a 10-month-old age level.
yeah. So, do you have some thoughts, Shonda?
So I guess I'm still wondering what exactly the type of help you're looking for. So 1 and 6-year-old,
well, they do mental counseling with her and trauma focus.
Yeah,
Focus, counseling with her.
as much as you can.
But they don't,
Yeah. And so your support system is your husband, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And you feel, it sounds like
Yeah, and he's not even he's not the biological granddaddy.
Oh, okay.
But
just really getting a sense
he's
that
doing way more than the other one would. He's not doing nothing.
So you're going to be going to court, and your daughter will be asking.
Yeah, I have to go to court October the 3rd, and I think that Louisiana.
And that court case
I don't want to
is.
go. I'm about to go.
The court case is where your daughter will be asking for custody, and you're going to be opposing that. Is that correct?
I'm going to oppose it, yes.
Yeah, okay.
She's mental. It says in the paperwork she's not able to care for her children.
So you're doing the right thing.
I mean, who can do that?
So you're doing the right thing. I think your question might be just how to deal with what you're feeling and how to cope with having to face your daughter in a court when you know that it's your daughter and you're hurting so much.
Right.
I'm tired of going to court. We're in court 10 times already.
So, Karen, I think, do you have a church home in the area? I know you're from Louisiana. You've only been in Arkansas for 18 months. But do you have a church family in that area, Karen?
No, not really. I haven't found one that I'm used to.
Well, Karen, here's the thing.
Louisiana, we would go to Word of God, and
here's the thing, Karen.
On YC, but
You know, the church becomes a place of support that the secular world won't give me, the county won't give me, my neighbors won't give me. I need a church family that's going to come around me and support me. Even a group of women that I can go and just cry with, that I can just have wrap their arms around me. Somebody that'll bring me dinner once a week. You need people that can do that. And there's a lot of churches that are very, very open to people in need, and they are very much supposed to be a part of our life. We're going to go to a break, but hold on the line. I want to finish this train of thought with you, Karen.
Yeah. Karen, we'll be back right after this, so just hold the line. Thanks.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change, and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption. But you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. We're talking to Karen, and Mylan, you have some thoughts to wrap this up.
Well, I think we have to realize that God calls us to community. We are
one another.
All the one another's of Scripture. Now, we're harmed in community. Many of us are traumatized in community. We're neglected, abandoned. We're not developed well in some cases in the communities that we grow up in. But the interesting irony is that God says we're to heal in community, and He calls us to community to heal. And there needs to be a realization that the government and actually biological families just may not carry us along in life, but we need the family of God to bring us the support we need. And God calls us to that. He tells us to connect with other people in churches. And I look at my own church, and they have a program called Celebrate Recovery, where people can bring their pain. You were talking about the amount of pain we see and the difficulties. They can bring that. And then there's support groups for all different kinds of pain, for us to go and get the support and be in a group with people that love us and care for us. And as I said to Karen on the phone, that'll bring us a meal, be a place to cry. There's grief recovery groups. She's got a lot of grief here that she needs to process.
And she's feeling all alone.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. And Shauna, we can't process pain and grief alone very well, can we?
No, we cannot. And so it's just like what Mylan was saying is that just really want to encourage you to find a church a local church home if you can, so that you can get plugged in and get the support that you need, so that you can, you may be surprised that there may be other individuals or other, families that are going through what you're going through, and so that creates a community for you to, not just tell your story, but hear other people's story, and then you guys support one another. So I just really want to encourage you to get plugged into a church home, so some type of support group for that.
Karen, I hope that helps you. We're going to send you Take Your Life Back. Part of that book is helping you learn how to respond, not just to react. And I think you need to look through that and find some ways that your response can be really well thought out and God-centered in it.
And Karen has to acknowledge that she's been severely traumatized.
Yes.
Okay, and people with severe trauma, they are shell-shocked. They can't think straight. They can't sleep. They can't eat. They are entirely disrupted
she said
because
she
of
has
the
a
trauma.
pit in her stomach all the time.
She has a knot in her stomach all the time.
Yeah.
And so there are specific therapies associated, and people that are well-trained in trauma recovery. And so that would be another important step for you to get into.
We're going to pray for you too. So thanks for calling, Karen. Okay, Sarah and Bob, this is interesting. We have two folks on at once here from Washington, D.C. Listen online. How are you guys doing today?
We're fine. My husband's sitting right next to me.
Okay.
Well, we're fine. Thank you.
So how can we help you?
We have a 14-year-old son, and he's going into his first year of high school. And I looked through his phone. I haven't done it in quite some time, but there were just a couple of things that were just kind of, just not sure about. So I looked through his phone behind his back, and there was a lot of sexting type stuff and things that we were so unaware of. It came as a shock because I always pretty much stayed up checking in on his phone every now and then. It's probably been about, I would say, 3 or 4 months, and now it's like night and day, the type of conversations he's having. There's even jokes about rape, very extreme, things that we didn't really know how to handle. And there was a couple girls, they were very aggressive towards him, sexually, which that happened before, and we talked about it because he wasn't really responding, but now he's actually responding, and he's responding in the same manner. Even telling a girl, he would grab her behind and different things, also oral sex was mentioned multiple times, jokingly, it seems, but I just don't know how severe it is.
So if you had to summarize it to one question, what would it be for us?
I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Okay, I got it. So the question would be, he doesn't know I checked the phone and that I've ever checked the phone. How do we approach this without losing, some form of openness during this very severe, very important time of going into high school? We don't want to lose his openness with us or trust, but also need to address these things with him in some way.
Good question. What do you?
And so, what have you begun the communication with him in terms of what you've discovered, or what have you done? Maybe I should ask you that.
Does he know you've looked at his phone?
In the past or currently?
Both.
Both.
Does he know you're monitoring the phone? That you look at it when he's not
No,
around?
he does not. He does not know we're monitoring the phone.
So if you bring this up to him, this would be the very first time.
So I think, Shauna, you were asking a question, though. What kind of communication have they had with their son?
Right.
In the past?
Right.
Do you talk?
We talk a lot about these things, girls. I'm sorry.
Keep going. Shauna was asking that question. What do you guys talk about? What's your history of dialogue with your son?
We're very open, and in fact, it's probably the thing that I've been most proud of. We've had very open conversations, even with things that have come up in the past. He's actually told us things in the past, like a girl grabbing him or whatever. We talk about drugs. We talk about everything consistently, not in a formal setting. It's something that has always been the strongest part of our relationship.
Okay.
So that's why this is even more hard, because it's kind of I didn't expect to be shocked in anything that I found, and I never have been shocked. So that's where it's okay, well, something go wrong here, or is it just
we're coming up on a break, and after the break, we'll come right back to you.
For
Most of my life I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. We're talking to Sarah, and they have some questions. Sounds like they need to confront their 14-year-old son on things. And Shonda, you have some thoughts.
And maybe the word confront seems so, intimidating, And so, Sarah, I heard you say before the break that you have, in terms of communication with your son, you have that open door communication with him, and it sounds like there's a trust there, and he's able to come with you to talk with you and your husband when there's things going on in his life. Did I hear that accurately?
Yes, that's what it's been in the past, yes.
Okay, and so it sounds like, is there a fear that you were to go to him and say, hey, we've been, looking through your phones, that somehow he might feel a certain way about that, or
shut down?
Yes,
right?
because yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, and Sarah, I think just to sort of normalize what you guys are experiencing right now, your son is 14 years old. So this is like typically, in terms of developmental, not just the identity stuff, but, you also get into like the hormones, that occur at this particular stage of life. So this is something that you definitely want to address it rather quickly and nip it in the bud, because if you don't, it will get out of control, And so I would just encourage you and your husband to rely upon the relationship that you already have with him. Take a little bit of risk. It may, he may feel a certain way, but, just trust God that it's important that, you guys address it and address it, rather quickly. And just trust God that whatever he finds out, if he feels a certain way, that it'll all work out.
Yeah, it's a lot about in so doing, Shauna and Larry. It's also to do it in a spirit of inquiry and curiosity, where it really isn't confrontation, but it's confrontation in the sense that we are having this talk. Okay, we're going to have this talk. And Sarah and Bob, I'm not shocked at your son's behavior. It's something that every young man goes through, and that's why Steve Arterburn wrote the book Every Man's Battle. What do we do with our sexuality? How do we harness testosterone? It's a very powerful hormone, and this is the beginning of a lifetime journey of learning to manage it and learning to control it and learning to harness it within the will of God. And so it's a lifetime journey, Sarah, and as Bob will attest, and this is something that I love that both of you would talk to him. My wife and I talk to both of our daughters, and my wife and I talk to both of our sons perpetually about their sexuality, about the sexuality of others, the intentions and motivations, the predatory nature of males and testosterone. We talked about all of that so that my kids were not flat-footed when they entered into adulthood, or I should say adolescence and then adulthood. So this is a good gift that God's giving to you, and thank you for your curiosity, and your son will appreciate it at some point in time.
It's also the case, in my experience, with any kind of, quote, confrontational discussion, the anticipation of it is usually worse than the actual execution of it.
I do agree with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right.
And so I hope that the two of you are, as long as you and your husband and Bob are on the same page with this, and you both can enter into that discussion, I think it'll go fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I want to send you Every Young Man's Battle. And I think that might be a book for him to read and look through. Okay, we're going to talk with Joy. Joy is on line 1, Dallas, Texas, listens on the Word, KWRD. Hello, Joy. How can we help you?
Hello. Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, thank you so much. So I'm calling because I'm currently experiencing a separation provoked by my husband leaving. He left our home and we were forced to leave, so I'm currently looking for a place for me and my children. He's just moved on, he's not answering any of my calls, but he'll text because, he wants a record of communication between him and myself. He knows that he's caused a lot of this, but he has no repentance. My question is, before I give too much background, my question is, what can I do immediately to protect myself, my children, emotionally, psychologically, because it's just a big game for him. This is not the first time this has happened. He's gaslighting me. He's negating the fact that he's ahead and that he should provide and protect. And it seems like he's a worker of the enemy. He's doing all of these diabolical things.
Okay, we get the picture.
Ultimately,
you painted a good picture. Maya, why don't you start us off?
Well, Joy, I am so sorry that you're going through this. This is so tragic and so disappointing to a mom with children. And what am I going to do? And first of all, I want you to hear that my heart really goes out to you, because this would be very difficult for you to go through. My first recommendation is that you would find a women's shelter or family and friends first. And if you don't have that, a women's shelter, because they really are tied into social services and people and legal groups and the ability to provide support for your children and for you, and to help you navigate. Now, you said a lot of good things that were theoretically true. He's supposed to be the head, he's supposed to be the provider, he's supposed to be a protector, but he's really not. And as a matter of fact, he's at some level toxic, he's dangerous, he is a threat to your family. And so the question has to be asked, Joy, if this has happened multiple times, do I choose to go back to him yet again? Should he have some flip a switch and then change? And maybe that would be a part of the help you could get, and a shelter would help to provide that for you. Shauna, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, and you talked about keeping yourself safe emotionally. Sounds like there's a history here. Have you done any type of counseling for support?
Yes, I've personally for individual counsel, yes, and attempted counsel, for couples.
Okay.
Pastoral, professional. Okay. We tried workshops, pretty much all of the resources.
Okay.
I don't think that there's anything I haven't
tried.
I've
right.
sought counsel, from the Lord as well.
Okay.
I continue to do that.
And in terms of emotional safetyness, what did you get out of your time in counseling? What were some of the main takeaways?
So a lot of affirmation.
Affirmation.
It was a lot of there was a lot of felt need. Just talking with the counselor. It was a Christian counselor.
Okay.
She provided me with a lot of assurance. She made me aware of the gaslighting. She told me, no, you're not crazy.
Right.
She really helped me out a great deal as far as who I am. She helped me. She directed me, and helped me discover who I am in Christ.
Right. And so in terms of where you're at right now, you said that you were separated from your husband. And so how do you see this? You have a heart to reconcile or restore as long as he's willing, or you feel like that you're done? Where are you at in this process?
Well, of course I would love a reconciliation, but I would like him to reconcile to God, because at this point there's no repentance, and I know I've forgiven him, and I know that only takes one person, but reconciliation takes two. So as long as he sees that the things that have happened are all my fault, and I've asked for forgiveness.
Right.
He has a desolate heart, so he's not even forgiving me.
Right.
So I don't think that we can reconcile. He's just not going to get that satisfaction.
Yeah. And so in the meantime, your focus is on yourself and your children, and I agree with Milan, is to surround yourself with a support system so that you can get connected to resources and keep you and yourself, your children safe.
Yeah.
Joy, I want to send you a copy of Dr. Sherry Keffer's book, Intimate Deception, and pray.
Yeah, I have that one.
You have that one?
I have that one.
Okay.
I have the Intimate Deception. I have Secular Sex.
And Joy, I want to encourage you to keep praying, because with God, all things are possible. Sometimes we think, situations, what you've been through, just seems like it's, no hope in it. But you know what? I'm sure you've probably heard countless stories of where God have brought people from the brinks of just turmoil and destruction, and he brought, restoration out of it. So I also want you to encourage you to surround yourself with people that, that will lift you up in prayer as well.
We'll be right back.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Columbus, Ohio, October 25th to the 27th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or go to newlife.com.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Last year, after Every Man's Battle, I was so moved by the transformation that I saw, not only in myself, but in the guys in our small group and the other people that were there and the stories that I heard, that I decided to go ahead and join Club New Life as a contributor to that.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
You guys are doing God's work here. You're restoring marriages. You're giving people hope. It's just been such a blessing to me, and I just wanted to encourage you all, when you see something good that God's doing, just jump on that and help support that.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Give your support to them if you can, and just help them do what God's doing here in the world.
Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. And before we take our final call this hour, I want to ask everybody who is on hold, please hold. We'll get to you in the next hour. And if you want to call in, we're going to be here another hour. So it's 800-229-3000. And I want to ask you, and please support New Life Live. We need to find some folks to join our Club New Life. Automatic giving, $30 or more a month. We've got a set of 8 books that will just help you with any life situation, struggle, and challenge that you have. They're the books that our radio hosts have written. I don't want to take the time to run through those right now, but I want you to call 800-NEW-LIFE and ask about those. And ask about some of the other benefits. We have a great video library. And what this does is it allows us to do what we do. We want to do more of it, to reach more people, and just continue to do what we do with this radio program, our workshops, our network of counselors, our resources, but we need your support to do it. So with that, let's talk to Jim. Jim's calling from Austin, Texas on KBBW. Hello, Jim. How can we help you?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I have, my question is, what might I do to help a friend who's 69 years old and is has no desire to live, and has told me that he's figured out how he's going to take his life, going to jump off of a parking garage, 7-story parking garage. And I don't know, he's not a Christian. He tells me he's I guess an agnostic. He doesn't know if there's a God or not, but he doesn't believe in heaven or hell. I've witnessed to him a number of times and just tried to encourage him to get help through the Lord, but he's not. He goes in one ear and out the other. He's not drawn, I suppose. But anyway, just a little background on him. His wife died about 6 years ago with a long bout of cancer. His son, he had one son. He committed suicide sometime maybe 6 or 7 years ago by jumping off of a tall overpass. And he has a daughter that's he's estranged from, that she has 4 kids, never been married, with different guys, and not all the kids are with the fathers, and so he can't have any relationship with his grandchildren. And now he's got the doctor told him he had some type of a tumor in his brain, and his stomach is hurting him now, and he thinks he's got some maybe cancer going on in his stomach, and so he doesn't have much going for him. And so I'm just calling to ask if, as a friend, if there's anything that you could suggest that he's not going to go to counseling. I know that, and he's taken depression medications. He has depression, and now he's off of those. He's weaned himself off.
Jim, how do you know? How do you know him? Does he have other friends?
I've known him
too?
He and I were best friends coming up. We were best back in junior high and all that. I've known him for all these years, and
does he have
relationship?
Does he have other friends? Does he have family?
I'm his only friend, or I know he has other acquaintances and all that, but not many.
No other family?
No other family. His mother died about 2 years ago. He was fairly close to her. She passed away, and so he has no other family, and he has no desire. He lives. He tells me he doesn't want me to come into his house because he said it's so terrible. He's embarrassed for me to see it, and so I spoke we speak on the phone often, every
So, Jim,
maybe a couple times a week.
Jim, how long ago did his wife pass away?
I'd say 5 to 7 years, 6 years, somewhere along in there.
And then how long ago did his son commit suicide?
I'm trying to remember now.
Just approximately.
Well, it was in the same area. I guess I can't remember if it was prior to his wife passing or right after, but it was somewhere in that same area.
Well, I have two thoughts, and then I'd love to hear Shonda's thoughts as well. Number one, ultimately, you cannot stop anybody that wants to kill themselves. Ultimately, if that is a decision they've made, they're going to figure out a way to get that done. It's sad to hear, but if people are very intentionally committed to it, it's impossible to stop it. And you can tell them that. I can't stop you. It would break my heart if you did. But your friend Jim is in a powerful state of grief, a lack of definition and purpose. He lost his wife. Who is he without his wife? And he's lost everybody around him. And so I would say if you felt that his suicide was imminent and you could do a 5150, you can call the local sheriff's department and say, do a safety check on this guy, Jim. And they will assess him and maybe bring him in against his will and into a setting where they can try to assess him and maybe help him get over a tiny hump. It's a traumatic experience in and of itself. But that would be my first recommendation to you, to call the authorities, have his address, and have him do a safety check. Number two, he could really benefit from a grief recovery group where he really is looking at the fact that this world is a place of constant loss.
Yeah.
Loss that never stops. Now, Shonda, what would you add?
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Mylan. I would recommend absolutely contacting local authorities and initiating a safety check so that they can get the ball going in terms of assessment and resources. But let me ask you this, Jim. You mentioned earlier that he is not at all open or to counseling. I guess I was curious to find out, do you know the reasons why he doesn't? Has he been to counseling before, or what's the background on that?
He has been to counseling before.
Okay.
And he had, I think, a bad experience with it.
He had a bad experience, okay.
Several things I won't go into, but he got involved with one of the other people in the counseling session, which he wasn't supposed to do, and it just turned out badly. And so anyway, he is. I don't think he would be willing to do anything. I think what you said previously about his mind is set.
Right.
And I think he thinks that either this cancer is going to get him, or if it delays, then he's going to expedite it himself. You know, he has nothing to
live
forward
for.
to.
Right.
He has,
Okay. Well, Jim, I'm sorry we can't spend more time on this. We're just about out of time. You're in a tough spot, and I think the counsel to go get the safety check is the best thing you could do for your friend.
Right.
The only thing I ever heard of before, I had a pastor, and I know he's not a man of faith, but someone told him he was going to commit suicide, and this pastor, he said, I responded so unlike me. He said, I got angry, and I said, why do you want to do that? It's such a selfish act. Think of what people are going to find. Think of how this is going to... And it had an effect on the guy. And I'm not suggesting you do that, but that was the only thing I'd ever heard that when somebody was that adamant towards it. Well, we're out of time. Thank you for calling. We're here another hour. Call us at 800-229-3000. Folks are on hold, and we'll get to you in the next hour. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.